Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Newton Silas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to of Douglas Murray slamming President Joe Biden of not handling the Israel and Hamas war properly. Of course, we are all aware of the news that some of the hostages, of course, were being killed, including American citizens, and of course there is protest both in Israel of people asking Netanyahu for them to cease fire, for them to be able to save the lives of some of the hostages, even though President Joe Biden is saying that Netanyahu is not handling the issues very well. A very funny one. Have you asked yourself and says that imagine Donald J. Trump is the president? Are we supposed to be discussing this kind of thing? But nevertheless, let's get on to the video and hear what Douglas have to say.
Now to Israel, where there are tens of thousands protesting, demanding a Gaza ceasefire and the release of the remaining hostages after 6 were executed by Hamas. And the pressure on Benjamin Netanyahu is intensifying further, Douglas, with President Joe Biden saying the Israeli Prime Minister is not doing enough to secure a hostage deal and ceasefire with Hamas. Is Israel's most important ally wavering in their support at this most crucial time?
Well, you know, Joe Biden has spent recent weeks on the beach, literally on the beach, away on the beach with Dr. Jill. And so when he says that Prime Minister Netanyahu isn't doing enough, I'd love to know exactly what Joe Biden thinks his own work performance schedule has been like of late. And it isn't a theoretical question, that. One of the 6 hostages murdered by Hamas in the last week was an American citizen. And there used to be a time, Rita, and you and I remember it, when an American citizen being killed in cold blood by a terrorist group got the attention of the president and indeed perhaps even the vice president. But the president is on the beach, the vice president is on the campaign trail, studiously avoiding having to answer any questions from the media or indeed say anything of any substance. And this, I think, is a little glimpse into what happens in the world when America is absent. And I think it's shameful, shameful. American politicians should have ignored the American hostages for such a long time, played political football with the Israeli hostages, and now pretend that the Israeli government is the one not doing enough. You know, the hostages are not in Benjamin Netanyahu's basement. They're in tunnels underneath Gaza, built by Hamas with Western taxpayers' money. And Hamas are the people who stole these people from their homes. Hamas are the people who have kept them underground for almost a year now. Hamas are the ones that have started summarily executing the hostages. And it is a sign of such pusillanimity as well as weakness that President Biden should think at that point that the person he should put pressure on is the Prime Minister of Israel. It's absolutely preposterous, a demonstration of weakness, because perhaps he knows that he has absolutely no say over Hamas. And again, there was a time when American presidents actually did have something to say about terrorist groups who murder their own citizens and the citizens of their friends and allies.
Meanwhile, we've got the Labor government in Britain shocking Israel and I think Brits alike by banning the sale of certain weaponry, including jet and drone parts. Foreign Secretary David Lammy.
That's a very interesting one, listening to Douglas Murray. But then, whatever Douglas is saying in a sense is actually true, because there has not been in a history that maybe probably an American citizen should be held hostage and then nothing will happen. And then, like we see in the video of Biden sitting in the beach, whereas of course Kamala is going about doing her campaign towards her election in November, whereas they actually have a citizen in the dungeon of the Hamas. Instead of them to find a way to release it, then they are now depending on Israel for them to go and save, the American citizens. Like, I don't understand some of these things. Like, but do some of you understand how some of these things goes? No wonder they keep on sending money and everything in a sense to Israel for them to go and fight them. So why can't they fight them directly? Like, is it that the American have lost its glory that we all know, or what is really going on, that a citizen should be killed? As a matter of fact, it's not really about that. Maybe some of the hostages in a sense, they are even still alive. They just killed some of them, including an American citizen, and they just sit down there and then do nothing in a sense about it. Whereas Biden is there in a sense struggling in a sense with himself, whereas Kamala is focusing more on her presidential ambition. And now you are now blaming Netanyahu of not doing enough to release some of these people. Like, how? Like, when did we get to this level? So now it has led to the point that America cannot save its people, but then therefore depending on Israel for them to save, you understand, their citizens for them. I don't just get it. So you oh God, it's very funny that this is what, you understand, we are facing. And that's why I totally understand, agree, understand, with Douglas Murray. They are not doing enough. That's just it. They are not just doing enough. And if Trump should have been, understand, the president, some of these things will not even happen in the first place. Nobody will try it. You will not even try it. I don't even think this war could have even happened in the first place. But I think this administration is making it look as if America is weak or something of that nature, and is making these people to do whatever they like, except, you understand, they change some of these narratives. Then I don't know how all of us, understand, are going to end up with this kind of happening, and then the situation we have find ourselves. But then let's continue, understand, with the video.
Stunned MPs with a decision set to stem from, and I quote here, pressure which Labor MPs have found in their seats as a result of pro-Gaza protests. Douglas, are Labor really allowing the mad mobs in the streets to set the nation's foreign policy?
Oh, you bet. I mean, David Lammy and Keir Starmer have shown double and triple standards just in recent days alone. Last week, Keir Starmer said that Britain would back Ukraine with giving them whatever was needed. That was the quote, whatever was needed for Ukraine to prosecute its war against Russia after the illegal invasion of Ukraine. At the same time as saying that they will give Ukraine whatever they need. And by the way, Britain is not going to give Ukraine everything it needs. Britain can't give Ukraine everything it needs. But that's what he says. Meantime, he's not even willing to sell the Israelis the things that they need to prosecute their war against Hamas. And that is for one reason alone. There is no sort of pro-Russian basis in the Labour Party that just would love
it's
to
like a double
Russia.
standard.
But there is
it's just like a double standard
within the Labour Party now, sadly, of people who think that you should just allow Hamas to win, allow the Palestinian extremists to win, and for Israel to lose in this conflict. And, you know, what David Lammy has done is not just unbelievably treacherous to an ally, as the Speaker of the Knesset in Israel said a couple of days ago, citing Churchill's famous criticism of Chamberlain. Britain had a choice between war and dishonor, and it chose dishonor this week. But you know, this arms sale change, this partial boycott by the British, will have no meaningful impact on the war, but it will have a meaningful impact on Britain. Britain relies very considerably in much of its arms and security apparatus on Israeli intelligence and Israeli technology. I wonder, and I hope that they don't, but I wonder if the Israelis would like to play this game back at David Lammy. He will see in the coming days that his cowardly little move, appeasing this nasty little bigoted rump within his party, will please absolutely nobody. Because you know what, Rita? The Hamas wing of the Labour Party are not going to be content with a little bit of boycott of Israel. They want a total boycott of Israel because they want the destruction of Israel. Well, David Lammy will, again, to quote a famous line about appeasement, be feeding the crocodile in the hope that it'll eat him last. But it won't.
Beautifully said, and yeah, Churchill had it right all those years ago, and the decision is certainly causing a diplomatic row with Benjamin Netanyahu. He's called it shameful and said it's going to embolden Hamas, and I think you're right. I think it is going to put at risk that relationship where Israel provides so much support and intelligence about attacks that may be being planned on UK soil. So it just seems to be a bonkers move any way you look at it. Before you go, we know the Labor MPs have their priorities right these days. Have a look at this clip of Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, Lisa Nandy, talking about doing something about the high prices of Oasis tickets. I wish I was joking.
I don't know what conversations Oasis had about ticket pricing, but I do know that it's deeply depressing to have had this incredible moment where so many people, especially at my age, were incredibly excited that this event of a lifetime that they thought may never happen was happening, only to find that they had to queue for hours in a queue, and for many of them.
Well, that's a very interesting one, but then one thing is for sure, I don't understand why people like to meddle into issues that does not concern them. Now, if you look at it in this very way, how can you support Ukraine and in the other way around support Israel? You see how this conflict in the Middle East is ending up dividing the UK, the Britain. They tend to have different opinion when it comes to some of these things, because David cannot be saying that, of course, we're going to give Ukraine whatever they need in war with Russia. Can they really give them whatever they want? And if they give them whatever they want, can they really win the war against Russia? You understand? And if you give them whatever that they want, and then they fail to win the war against Russia, what do you think will be Russians' reaction to Britain? Knowing fully well that yes, you provided the logistic and then support and all those things to them, what do you think will happen to Great Britain? Does Great Britain really have what it takes for them to face Russia? In case whatever support they are trying to provide for Ukraine fail, if Russia should turn against them, what will happen? You see, that's the reason why I do feel that it could be better for people to maybe preach for peace or kind of go for diplomacy, so that some of these things should cease. And this is also applicable between the Israel and Hamas. There should be a diplomacy so that some of these killings can just come to an end, so that let there be peace again in the world. Else otherwise, if you keep on saying that, oh, I'm going to bring support to Russia, and this was, oh, I'm bringing support to Ukraine, and then you see that the countries are being divided into different entities and different interpretation of the situation at hand. At the end of the day, does it fix the problem? Because when you look at it, when all these things started a couple of years ago, right? And then someone said, oh, we are for Russia. Some say, oh, we are for Ukraine, right? And then some of the Christians start praying for Ukraine and all those things. Does it really fix the problem? Right now, Palestine and Israel now come, and then somebody feels like, oh, nah, Israel are wrong. Oh no, Palestine are right. And some of all these things with the Hamas, right? At the end of the day, has this fixed any problem? This is the reason why they could have just go for diplomacy. You understand? Just go for diplomacy, so that some of this problem can just end, so that at least we can just live in peace. Because of this, some of this problem resulted to some of the protests that is taking place in the UK. Imagine that some of these things is not happening, the protests will not happen. Some of this intolerance and all those things could have not even happened in the first place. But because of some of those things, instead of some of the leaders of these respective countries for them to at least go for diplomacy and find a better way of resolving some of this conflict between some of these nations, they did not do so, and then everybody decided to take side. But then at the end of the day, this has resulted to having a lot of immigrant, or should I say illegal immigrant, or should I say invaders. People want to survive. People are running away from some of these wars, because war is not a good thing. It's not something that we actually pray for. and people need to be safe. And then this is a situation whereby some people feels like, oh no, their country is congested and they do not need more people anymore. You see some of the problem that all this is causing. But this is something that they could have just find a way of resolving it, right? But they did not resolve it. So look at where we are finding ourselves now. You see? Oh God. It's very unfortunate that in a sense we are facing this in this very 21st century. It's very sad. People are beginning to forget in a sense their responsibility, and they will know that we are just here on a temporary basis, because whatever we are fighting for or killing each other for, nobody or none of us is taking it to heaven. Everything we are going to live here on this very earth, nobody is taking anything to heaven. So what is the point of killing your brothers? What is the point of killing your own fellow human being? In the name of places, in the name of region, in the name of piece of land, like, oh my God. Now a lot of blood, you understand, have been spilled. Like, so what have we done? What have we done? And if we should go to our maker now and then he asks us what will be our account about whatever, you understand, we are sent on this earth, you are we tool, you understand, to propagate, you understand, the message of God, or we became tool on trying to share the properties, or should I say things of this world? At the end of the day, vanity is vanity. None of us is taking anything to heaven, but we all die and leave everything, you understand, here. It's just up to you, or whatever, you understand, you do. If you do right and you have a right standing with your maker, that's when you can be able to make it to heaven. Else otherwise, hell, you understand, is your destination. And that's why my message has been very simple, which is hell is real and heaven is real, and the choice is yours. Everybody have to decide for himself. Because of what is currently happening is the result of what the signs of the last day. And some of these things, understand, will happen. All this war will happen, famine will happen, earthquake will happen, and some of these signs has happened, which means that the coming of Jesus Christ is very close. In fact, it has come already. It's just up to you to prepare your mind. Prepare your mind, because you don't know when the hour or the minute some of these things will catch up with you. They will just pray for more grace. We just pray that someday this country will decide to embrace diplomacy, so that let peace, understand, reign again. I know that a lot of you have thought and opinion concerning this, and I wanted to drop it at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Goodbye.